Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to a video about the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, which is called emtala. So emtala, it's been around for a while. It started in 1986 and it was put in place by Congress in order to ensure fair treatment in an emergency setting. So when you go to an emergency room as a patient, emtala is something that everyone should be aware of, especially in regards to how you're going to be treated. So if you go into an emergency room, emtala says a few things. And I'm going to click on a different link because this is the CMS website, which pretty much has all the data you need. But this is, I think, an interesting .org location that we'll pull up. It was written by a doctor that shows what emtala really highlights. One, all patients that show up to the hospital must have a medical screening exam, which is an MSE, medical screening exam. So when you walk in, a provider has to screen you. I've heard of nurses doing this. Sometimes nurse practitioners, of course, can do this, but it has to be a provider screening you. There has to be a process. So this gentleman who wrote this says, according to emtala, all patients, regardless of insurance status, nation, origin, race, religion, any other entitlement, are required to have a medical screening exam on the hospital campus. So it's to make sure that there are no underlying health conditions, because what we were running into before 1986 is someone would show up to the hospital, the emergency room, and maybe they're a repeat offender, so they show up all the time, crying wolf per se, and they've showed up and said there's an issue, but they've never had an issue. But what if they show up one time and there actually is an issue? So the medical screening exam is supposed to prevent, not forgetting about the patient, and even though they might, be a repeat type offender by coming in, maybe it's something that emerges at that time. Moving forward, stabilization. It also requires the hospital to stabilize a patient, especially if you were looking at transferring them or discharging them. So you have to stabilize before you discharge or transfer. When we talk about transfers, you stabilize them, but there might be the necessity to get them to a higher level of care or get them to a location who has more beds. So if your beds are full, maybe you're not able to take this patient, and being able to transfer is very, very important in that amount of time. So transfer and accept patients as appropriate. So stabilized patients, that of course is doing everything you can in the system that you have or in the location that you're at, your hospital. But sometimes you'll have to transfer patients to a larger center who have specialized medicine and such. So, the penalties for emtala are vast. Right now I think it's $100,000 per violation. But emtala only occurs with organizations that accept Medicare and Medicaid funding. So if they are, if they bill Medicare and Medicaid for their services, then they have to follow the rules of emtala. And the majority of emergency departments do, right? A lot of times you don't see freestanding EDs with just commercial payers. Most of the time it's pretty much everybody across the board. And depending on the state, there could be regulations involving that. I haven't looked at Washington state regulations, but I'm sure there are in relation to what insurance you can and can't carry. But if you're seeing Medicare and Medicaid patients, you have to follow the rules of emtala. Lots of great information here in regards to emtala, the consequences, the penalties. If you mess up, I would assume more than a few times, you can be at risk of your hospital shutting down after survey. This talks about a little bit. U.S. hospitals provided $38.4 billion of uncompensated care in 2017, and when you think about that, a lot of times that's charity care. But hopefully hospitals have it set up where they're at least semi-funded by either their community or they have enough commercial background, enough commercial payers in their system to overcome those costs. A lot of people don't realize hospitals operate usually on a very small margin, so their revenue over expenses is not very high. So when you have uncompensated care that can really put a dent in the finances and make it hard to continue to operate. So most of the time hospitals are not really huge money-making machines, and I think a lot of people misinterpret that at times. And I could tell you that as fact because I've been a part of a hospital that's shut down due to finances. So you see this, it's located in your course content. Be sure to look at emtala. A lot of great information in here, but just know a couple of things. It protects patients with having a medical screening exam when they walk in the door. You can't just turn someone away without screening them. It protects patients to transfer, and it also protects patients for incoming transfers. And it also says, hey, I have to see a patient no matter what insurance they have, no matter what their coverage is, no matter what, I have to see a patient and give them a screening exam. So that's emtala in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much.